everyone, and welcome to another episode of The Genius Mindset. I'm so excited for our guest that we have here today, and her name is Vanessa. Vanessa, can you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Thank you so much, Angelica, for having me. Yes, I am a betrayal recovery specialist. Yeah, that's a mouthful, and most people look at me very quizzically.
Yes.
What is that? What do you mean? I help people who have experienced betrayal, whether intimate partner betrayal, self-sabotage, where we betray ourselves, or
Okay.
betrayal in business, where we have a coworker who steals our idea and takes credit for it. So all
Yes.
aspects of betrayal.
I think we have all been through that in some type of form. So in some way, shape, or form, we've all experienced betrayal. What sparked your interest into just developing a business like this? Where did the
Mm,
idea?
well, you don't study betrayal unless you've actually gone through it.
That's right. That's
Yep.
right.
Yep. That was my experience. My husband over 20 years shared 3 words with me that I never ever thought I would ever hear him say. I've met someone, and
Wow.
my whole world shattered in an instant, and I became a shell of myself. I was on autopilot for months, and I
Oh
was
my
in
goodness.
so much pain. And it became the catalyst for my growth, who I was meant to be. I had been everything to everyone else. I had molded myself into the expectations of being a mother, of being a wife, of being a daughter, of being a granddaughter, of being an aunt. You name it, that role, and I molded myself into it. And in the process, I lost myself. And
Yes.
it wasn't until this betrayal, until those 3 words, when I completely shattered, I I emerged. It was months and months and months later with lots
Yes.
of support, but I
Absolutely.
emerged months later realizing, wow, this is me. This is who I was meant to be. Only took me
Yes.
50 plus years to get there,
That's
but
okay.
yeah, better late than never.
That's
Yeah,
right. That's right. That's my motto. Yes.
very much so. And I dove headfirst into my business. And along the way, there were a lot of missteps. I didn't quite know what I was doing. I thought I was a smart woman. Here I was with a psychology degree, and I'm in the C-suite in my career, and now I'm trying to have this business on the side based on
Right.
understanding
Yes.
because I know what it felt like. I know what it felt like to feel that hurt and that
Yes.
pain and that suffering. And it's interesting because there'll be people out there that want to help, but they want to help from a textbook.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
They haven't
Absolutely.
gone through the experience. And the way I describe it is I've never been a fan of a male gynecologist because I can't wrap my head around when he tells me your pregnancy's fine. You'll get through labor. It's okay. Really?
Right.
Have you gone through labor? Because I don't
Right.
think so. Type of thing. So yeah, so I really
Yes.
struggled with my own betrayal recovery with therapists and with counselors that hadn't gone through betrayal. And I'm like, how can you guide me through? You're reading
Yes.
a map. Okay. People can read maps. I get that. But I want somebody who's seen the terrain and knows, you need to step to the left, you need to step to the right,
That's
you need to
right.
over, and guide you through because they've gone through it.
That's right.
They've
That's
climbed the
right.
mountain maybe
That's right.
several times, and
Yeah.
they know the terrain, and they can guide you through and help you keep your eyes open to what's going on around you. And that's what really, really prompted me to jump into this business, because when you become who you were meant to be,
Mhm.
it's so liberating.
Yes.
And you just feel this sense of euphoria, this intoxication. You're in love with yourself. And
That's right.
when I did this keynote speech, I remember it so fondly. I was called in at the last moment to do this keynote speech, and I was so excited to do it. And I get on stage and I talk about a really difficult topic, because betrayal is a difficult topic.
It is.
And
It
you
is.
know, I just I gave it my all. And I was standing online, for the lunch or whatever it was, and I heard two women who didn't realize that I was in front of them, or actually I was behind them. Come to think,
Right.
I was behind them, and they were talking about my presentation, but they were a little nasty about it, and they were like, "She's so full of herself." And I jumped the line, and I jumped right in front of them, and
Wow.
I'm, oh my God, you gave me the best compliment. You have no idea what that means to me. You're absolutely right. I am full of myself. It's
Wow. Yeah.
me. I am full of myself. I stepped into who I was meant to be. And now
Yes.
I help others do the exact same thing. And it's so empowering and liberating, because I distinctly remember being in our counselor's office and screaming, not at
Mhm.
my husband, but at the counselor, saying there's got to be a reason why I'm in so much pain. There has
Right.
got to be a reason why this is happening. And this was it.
Yes.
It was
Yes.
stepping
It's
into
meant to be. That's right. I love that. And I
it's
always, when I talk to other people, especially when I was working in a field where I was dealing a lot with inmates, and I would say, a lot of them committed the crimes behind a man. It was a women's facility, and a lot of them, the crimes that they committed, when you hear the story, it's like either following a man, or a man, put them in a crazy situation where they didn't have a choice, like just different things. And I was like, my goal is to get you back to the most authentic version of yourself and not them. You've lived in the eyes of them. And, even when I had one who actually, her husband had committed suicide, and he said it was because of her. And it's just transitioning the mindset from feeling like it's because of you. Like, I mean, he actually took his life. So who wouldn't in that moment think, oh my God, I did this, And when you come from a lot of abuse, that's just, one more thing that you're dealing with. And it just, just to see those women be able to transition and be like, it's about me now. It's not about, and I did an activity where we had an outline of a man, and I said, this is him. And I want you to put all of the things that he did, transition them from yourself into him. And when they got done, like the tears were just rolling, and they were like, it was never me. It was him. And so just to see that moment with those women was like, I guess, just transformational for me. And I think one of the things that we oftentimes do as women is we just pick up everything, the kids, the house, the bills, and we work full time. So what kind of advice do you give to, or would you give to women that are trying to put themselves first without it appearing to others like they're being selfish, I guess, in a sense, especially if you're married and it's about the two of you, but we all know sometimes we have a lot on our plate. What kind of advice would you give to somebody who just wants, I just want to be about me for 5 seconds, just.
mm, mm. Well, I want to go back just a ways, because your
Yeah.
exercise, oh, beautiful,
Yes.
beautiful. And you guided them through. You
Yes.
held their hand, and you held space for them to
Yes.
recognize it wasn't about them.
Right.
How beautiful. So I
Right.
want to honor you for that,
Yes.
because
Thank
that's
you.
an amazing, amazing exercise. It's
Thank
so
you.
beneficial. And
Yes.
sometimes seeing it on paper, the beauty of pen to paper, oh, it's
Yes.
glorious. It's
Yes.
glorious. So back to
Absolutely.
your question about being selfish.
Yes.
Dare I say, are you ready for it?
I'm ready
Yes.
for it.
Yes, be selfish. Absolutely be selfish.
Yes.
Take those moments and honor yourself because you are everything to everyone. Take off the cape. Drop it off at the cleaners. It's frayed, it's dirty. They'll keep it for 30 days. They're not going to
Right.
donate it. Let it go. Let it go, even for a short duration of time. Practice every single day. I'm going to be selfish today.
Yes.
And don't even refer to it as being selfish.
Okay.
Just
Okay.
refer to it as I'm going to do something for me. I'm
Yes.
going to do something for me.
Yes.
That
Yes.
is golden. That is
Love
absolutely
that.
golden because that's what you want to do. And every
Yes.
morning you want to look in that mirror. And these are three things. And I love the brilliant Lisa Nichols. This was
Okay.
the first time I had heard it from her. And subsequently, I heard it from others then, but she was the first one. She was out of the gate. So I'm going to give her credit for it. She does this wonderful mirror exercise where
Uh,
you say three statements. You say your name because your name is the most beautiful word in the English language. The
yes.
first sentence is Angelica. Angelica, I'm proud of you because. And you finish that sentence.
Wow.
7 different sentences, 7 different moments of pride.
Wow.
With me so far?
Yes.
Second one, Angelica, I forgive you for. I forgive
Mhm.
you for 7 different things.
Wow.
And the last one, Angelica, I commit to 7 different things. So you have
Wow.
3 different sentences, 7 different endings. For those of us that like math, that's
Right.
21. 21 sentences you're going to say to yourself in the mirror every time you brush your teeth. Put a
Yes.
Post-it note on your mirror,
I
rattle
love
it off. Even if they're the same every single day for 30 days, transformational. You will change your life because you will hear yourself say those words to you to show your pride in yourself,
Yes.
show your forgiveness of yourself
Yes.
and your commitment to yourself.
I love
How
that.
you're going to honor yourself. Those are
I
the
love
3
that.
ways that you can be selfish,
Yes.
but you are
Yes.
being selfless to yourself because
That's
you're
right.
bringing back in your self-love and your self-trust because you have just given yourself away to everybody else by being
That's right.
everything to everyone.
That's right. And I think for those seeking like a specialist, like I mean, you have like it definitely is a niche, but it's like a specialty. You can't just go and find any psychologist that's going to even be remotely close. It's very generalized. I guess what is some advice for individuals that are looking for somebody that is specific to their needs? So, like with you being the betrayal, how do you not just end up in that regular psychologist office when you're looking for somebody specific to your needs? I mean, this is the first time I've ever heard of a betrayal and recovery, and I'm like, I could use this. I could think a time or two. So where does one go when they're looking for a specific, not just, whoever has the storefront?
Yeah, yeah, I understand that whoever has the storefront. It's so important when you're looking for support. And that is beauty in and of itself. When
Yes.
you can admit to yourself, I need
Mhm.
help. And this
Right.
is something I didn't admit to myself. I had a psychology degree. I was a smart woman. I don't need anybody's help
Right.
through this. And I suffered. I suffered for way too long. It was only until I asked for help that my healing emerged, that I was even open to the possibility that I could actually go through this and get to the
Right.
other side. So when you're looking for support, you find, because first of all, your willingness. Once you open
Mhm.
yourself up for that, it almost comes to you.
That's
Type.
right.
But
Okay.
you look for it, you search it out. You definitely want to. I'm a big fan of Google. I am. It's a
Yes.
starting point. It's a jumping
Yes.
off point. Go to the library, read a couple of different books, see who's in the space, see who you resonate with.
That's right.
For those that are just listening and not seeing the visual, I have pink in my hair. Some people take offense to that. They're like, oh no, I'm not dealing with that type of thing. No, fine. That's fine.
Right.
You and I could speak the exact same words. We could say the exact same thing. And
Yes.
it might land with me and it might land with you. It's
Right.
who you feel comfortable with, because you're going to need to get vulnerable. You're going
Mhm.
to need to expose all those wounds so that they're
Yes.
properly stitched up, so that
Right.
they're properly healed.
Yes.
And if it
Yes.
doesn't feel right to you, you move on.
Right.
You move on. There are those that when I hear that they're in therapy for years, like
Mhm.
5, 6 years, I'm like, really? Really? I know I take that as there's either a lot of work to be done,
Yes.
or it's not quite working. You're not being vulnerable enough. You're not opening yourself up enough. And maybe the person who's
I believe
working
that.
with you is
Okay.
not pulling on those threads enough. And it's
Yes.
okay. It's
Yes.
okay. It's okay to have more than one as well. I had
Right.
I was blessed. I had a therapist. I had my own therapist. My husband had his therapist. We had a counselor, and then I had a coach on top of it, because
Okay.
therapy
Yes.
looks at the present moment and the past. I didn't want to
Yes.
be trapped in the past. I didn't want
Yes.
to dissect it and just dredge it all up and go through all that pain and everything else. That was already
Yes.
there. I
Right.
needed something for this moment, and I needed something forward thinking. And betrayal recovery specialists think of the here and now. Yes, we have to dive a little bit into the past to
Right.
understand it, but
Yes.
we don't have to sit back there. No.
No.
What's going
No.
on right now and what's going to go on in the future? What do you want the future to look like?
That's right. That's right. And I think too, it's definitely like, sometimes people have really traumatic past. And sometimes you don't even want to go there. But in my work, I've tried to get people to understand that you got to go there you got to deal with that. And so I think that's the toughest part for a lot of people, is to,
Mhm.
to, to be in that hurt and have to hear it, you
Correct.
know, especially if they were a party to it. Some people weren't. Ugly things just happened to them, but then some were a party to some of that. So just to hear that, they just, they're not ready to face it. And I think when I was dealing with the inmates, I could see part of that. Like they were like, oh no, I'm perfect. That's how they all started, right on that. And I was like, no, because you're here. So let's dig under that. Let's get under that surface and find out exactly.
Yeah, let's pull at it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I find it very fascinating, because I'm one to challenge. I'm one to pull on threads, within reason, of course. I'm
Yeah,
not, but y- you got to get in there. You
you
got to
got
get
to.
into the weeds. You got to pull them
Yeah,
out and yank them out, and you got to yank them out by the roots. You got to get it all, not just snippets
right,
and it grows back. No, it doesn't work that way.
right. And how do you, I guess, when you get into it and you're kind of, you may have a client that may have a similar situation, how do you, I guess, mentally keep yourself from getting engulfed in what, I know there's a limit where you kind of, you're hearing what they're saying, but is any of that like triggering, or does it send you back, or how do you kind of just deal with that when it comes to like your clients and they may be dealing with something that's similar to what you've been dealing with, without kind of just re-traumatizing yourself, from things you've dealt with?
What a wonderful question. What an absolutely wonderful question. Thank you for asking that.
Yes.
I've worked really hard to understand that separation. Also staying in my lane, because
Yes.
therapy is one thing.
Yes.
Coaching is another thing.
Yes.
And the merging of the two is not correct. Everybody stays in their lane.
Right.
Stays in their lane. I know
Yes.
to stay in my lane. I know to stay in my lane with my clients. I also know to stay in my lane for my benefit.
Yes.
I recognize this is your situation. I can empathize with it wholeheartedly, and I can sit with you in it, but I am not going to take it on. It is not mine to take on. But I'm there to put my hand on your shoulder, my hand on your elbow, and tell you, I've got you. I've got you.
Yes.
But it's still yours, because you have to work through it.
Yes.
I've already done my work. I've already and that's why I'm here in front of you to tell you, A, you're not alone. You're not alone. And though something terrible has happened to you,
right,
wasn't about you. Most of the time, it wasn't about you.
That's right. That's right.
But we keep it all on because we're women.
That's right. We do. We do. So I guess, what was your aha moment, like where you felt like, I can take this, all of this that I've learned, all this that I've practiced, and all of this experience, and transition it into being a voice and being able to help other people? Like, what was that moment like for you where you started to shift into your work?
I wish it was a shift. It was more like a shove. It was definitely a shove for me. It was like a, here you go type of thing.
Yes.
I bumped into a woman in the supermarket, and she was in front of me online. And I could just feel like something was wrong. And we made eye contact, and she started to cry. Like, it was just eye contact. And she went through, and then I went through, and she was almost lingering, kind of waiting for me to leave the supermarket as well. And we get out to the parking lot, and she says, "You have such a calming disposition about you. What do you do?" And I told her, and she burst into tears. She was sobbing, like she grabbed a hold of me, and she's like, "Please fix me. Please fix me." And I held her, and then I uprighted her, and I said, "I'm really sorry. I can't fix you." And the sobs were even worse.
Oh my gosh.
I said, "I can't fix you because you're not broken. You are not broken. You are ridiculously hurt. You are ridiculously hurt, but you are not broken. And I will not allow you to think of yourself that way. Can I help you? Yes, I will help you. But you are not broken." And it was so liberating for me to realize that just my presence and making eye contact and letting somebody else know that they are seen is powerful, because we spend so much time like this. We're so on our phones, and we are warriors with our thumbs.
Yes.
And we lose sight of the ability to be able to look in somebody else's eyes and make eye contact.
That's right.
So that they can feel seen.
That's right. Right. And that sometimes it's just the little things that make a huge difference. So where can everyone who's watching the show today, where can they find you or get more information about you or seek your services? How can they reach you?
They can reach me, and this is a very interesting story. They can reach me
Yes.
at my URL is understandingear.com.
Okay.
Where does it come from? Well,
Yes.
I am a very big Stephen King fan, the author, Stephen King, the horror. Really?
Yes.
Horror? And then suddenly it's like, understanding,
Yes.
what are you talking about? One of his short stories starts off with a quote. I love the quote, and I'm going to condense it. It says, the most important things are the hardest things to say, not
Mm.
for the want of a teller, but for the want of an understanding ear. So when I needed to develop my business website,
Yes.
understanding ear, I was like, oh my gosh, I'm going to have to wrestle it away from somebody else. It was available. It was available. And I knew it was meant to be. I knew it was meant to be.
Wow.
To get my URL on the first try. Oh, yeah.
Yes. Yeah. What are the
Absolutely.
chances of that?
Absolutely. Very, very much so. Yes. Understandingear.com. And then that'll point you in all the direction. I'm all over the socials and whatnot. It's so important for me for people to know that they are not alone, because
Yes.
that was the worst for me, was
Yes.
that I felt like I was alone, like I was the
Mhm.
only one that was suffering. Everybody around me was happy-go-lucky, and people, the birds were singing, and the sun was shining and everything else.
Yes.
I'm living in this darkness all
Yes.
around me, and I felt so alone. And I want to
Yes.
make sure that anybody that's been betrayed doesn't feel that intensity for
Yes.
any duration of time.
Because just that one thing, just feeling alone, can trigger so many other things and, just lead down a very dark path just for the simple fact of feeling alone. So definitely, if you can catch that one thing, that one characteristic before it, goes down that path, you can stop,
Yes,
that
you can
pattern.
pattern interrupt it.
Mhm.
And I'm all over, so you can find me. My YouTube channel has lots of information on it. I
Yes.
pretty much record all of the presentations that I do, all of the keynote speeches that I make,
Wow.
all of my podcasts. This
I love it.
information needs to get out there. Women
Yes.
and men also need to know that they are not alone. They are not
That's right.
alone.
They're
And
not.
yeah,
I think this has been so amazing, and I really treasure you being on this show because it's just it speaks to me myself, and so I know it's going to speak to a lot of other women and even men out there that are going through something and they just feel like they're lost and they just have nowhere to turn. And to know that there's somebody that has been through it that can get you through it is phenomenal. So I just want to say thank you so much for being a guest on the show. And I'll be reaching out again to have you on again. But this has been just so amazing and eye-opening, especially for me, when I was looking for my therapist, it was like, reading bio after bio after bio after bio. And they're all still, while they do help, it was so generalized. So it's just like, just to know that there are people, if I just want to dig a little bit deeper, that can handle certain situations, I think is amazing. And I think it's important for others to know as well. So thank you so much for being a guest on the show. Thank you. Thank you.
Angelica.
Thank you. And you have a great one. Thank you so much.
Thank you.